Well, while you're working on that, I want to ask Jean if she decided what she was gonna do, because I decided I'm gonna do the number one yarn.
Yes. So I'm doing the scarf. So I'm going to do the cowl and the number one.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
I think it's going to be beautiful. Even though we don't know all the pattern yet, but
yeah, I was just curious if we were gonna be like twins, and
we're
I'm excited
twins.
that we are.
We'll be twins.
Woo! Love that.
Which size are you making? The large one or the small one?
I have enough yarn to do the large, but I think I'm going to do the small because I think I'd like to use, because it's a special run, like
Right.
make some mitts with the leftovers.
Yes.
I had intended to do the large, but I really love the Kent cowl that I have for walking my, big
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Anywho, I was thinking about you this week when I was
Yeah.
making my decision. So
Actually, today I was going to order, to be honest with you.
I did not long after Zoom on Wednesday. So I'm hoping it might come today. I don't know.
Are you two going to call each other to make sure that you're wearing the same scarf on the same day?
Yeah. And we're going to wear it when we're here in the summer or winter.
Right. Like when we're in the middle of the sweater knit alongs that Ann does,
Right.
we'll
be wearing them.
totally banging our,
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that
long
whole
cowl.
conversation. So Jean and Catherine are doing the
We're gonna
different stitch patterns in one yarn. Is that what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay.
The number one yarn.
The Folkstone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that name.
I do
Me
too.
too. I do too.
I had to really go searching for a name for the color because we have so many colors, and
Yeah.
they have to be Kent beach related colors, and so I was really glad to come across that. Did anybody Google it, like to look at the stone?
Oh.
It's really pretty dark rocks. But anyway, Sherry, what is your question?
Okay, I want to make the cowl, and I'm actually using hand spun yarn that I did for the Shave 'em to Save 'em project. I want to use some of my rare breed yarn, and the yarn looks like for large, it said for large kits, colors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or yarns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for small, 1, 3, and 4 only. So I assumed I need 3 colors.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at the instructions so far, it's bringing in numbers 2 and 5 already, which are the 2 I didn't think I had. So I can't figure out if I need 3 colors or 5 colors. And if I do 5 different yarns, I can do the bigger cowl. So
Did you read the notes of the pattern too?
I thought I did.
So
that's where I got the numbers. It says 1 through 5.
We did make available a small kit with 3 colors, as well as a large kit with 5 colors, as well as another large kit with 5 colors and more yarn. But anyway, the 3 colors in the small kit relate to the 1, 3, and 4 colors of the large kit. So as we work through the stripes, there are going to be 5 different stitch patterns that you can create stripes with. The colors referred to in the pattern are kind of kit specific. So the first color is the same for all the kits. The third color is the same for all the kits, number 3, and number 4 also. So people who only have 3 colors would essentially be skipping number 2. They would be skipping the second section and going to the third section. Does that make sense?
So where it says use color number 2, you would still continue with number 1, or?
No, you would just skip that. You would essentially be skipping that section and using your number 3 yarn, or it would be your second yarn, but it would be number 3 in the series that we've laid out in the kits. I know it's and there's even more confusion because for other reasons that don't relate to your situation.
So if I want
So-
to make the cow, I can do it with either 3 or 5 colors,
Yes.
different yarns.
Yes, and you can use them however you want. I mean, you don't have a kit, so you don't really need to pay attention to the numbers. Just make a sequence for yourself
Okay,
and use your yarns in whatever order you want to use them.
okay. So if I decide to only use 3 and I start with 1 and then it has me do a couple rows of 5.
If
it
you
has
think
me-
of if you think of your colors in a sequence, so you've got 3 yarns, you're not going to use them all at once. You're going to use them one after the other, correct?
Right.
And one is the first one, and then your third one is your last one. So you can use your third one as to substitute for number 5.
Okay, and if I
Okay.
add 2 colors, I can just follow just as it says. If I add 2 more yarns,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, if you're using your own yarn, you need to number them yourself and use the numbers on your yarns in the pattern sequence.
so it might be better having 5 numbers so that it's a little bit easier, right? Because if I
Or
don't
you
have,
can, or you can just use your 3 colors in the order that they go and
Mhm.
understand that your first color is first and your last color is last. You
how
know,
does first and last relate to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 1, 3, and 4, I guess.
yeah, I mean, you could use your yarns 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 if you want to.
Okay, so you just changed to a different yarn.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
thank you.
And that
Somebody
really
said,
does.
look at page 2, but I've read them a million times. I'm really struggling with it. I don't know why I have a block.
That's okay. Did anybody else have a question before?
Yeah, so I ordered my yarn from elsewhere. I'm making the throw.
Uh-huh.
And in order to have enough yards, as like it recommended like 1,500 yards, in the DK weight that I got, I needed 7 skeins. So I actually I'm making a gradient of 7 colors. I'm just trying to figure out how I would.
Oh, that's fine. The pattern and the knit along are gonna cover 5
Mhm.
shades because and there are 5 different stitch patterns, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want with the rest of your colors. Just you can keep going in a sequence, because for the throw you're going to need to add quite a few more stripes than 5. The pattern
Yeah.
ends at 5 stripes, and then after that you just continue striping until you get the width that you're looking for. So you actually have even more to play with that way.
So would you recommend then to keep that kind of gradient, would you recommend doing like more of color 1 before adding on color 2? Or how would you, or would you just do
well-
stripes in the gradient and then new stripes in the gradient?
And reverse backward. You could gradient to the middle and then gradient backwards to the end.
Oh, that would
If
be
you Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you're not, especially if you take care to weigh your yarn as you use it, so that you're saving half for the end.
Yeah.
Or you could kind of gradient in and out a couple times even, it sounds like. Because for the throw, you'll probably need to do about 20 stripes altogether. The
Okay.
stripes are about approximately 2 inches wide.
Mhm.
That said, and this is something I got into it a little bit the other night. The stripes are made up of fairly short row patterns. So you can even vary the width of your different stripes however you like. Mary, we did a yarn discussion on Wednesday night, a pretty thorough one, and it was recorded, so we'll be putting that up on YouTube. But I'll get into that. I will review a little bit of it for everyone after everybody has questions. So your stripes are as written are approximately 2 to 2.5 inches. But you can vary the width of them, you know, for fun. Pretty much they're all you can add a 1/2 inch by repeating like 4 rows, or a full inch by repeating 8 rows. And I've done that in this. I'm working on a lap blanket now, which I can't hold up because of it's still like mostly secret yarn. But I've varied the width of my stripes all throughout, so that I'm using the colors in different widths all throughout.
Mhm.
And that way I can stretch some of my colors a little more and make more stripes. I can put the color in more places across the blanket. And I left that option in. Maybe I left too much variation in, I guess, but because I left those variations in the pattern because the pattern is so basic. It's just 5 repeating patterns and 5 repeating colors. And I assume that, like me, other people get a little bored. They want to impose their own little design onto it. Somebody's not muted. Okay. And it gives you some leeway to put your own imprint on your piece. So is it Isha? Is that how you say your name, or Asha?
Isha.
Isha, so you're knitting your blanket in one yarn, but in different colors of one yarn. Is that what
Yep.
you're doing? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so
Everybody's
I have this
got-
whole kind of seascape gradient.
That sounds really pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else has a question?
On the YouTube, what would we look for? What would be the name?
Well, we'll be sending out an email with a link to it.
Oh,
In
great.
it. It will be in the Knit Spot YouTube channel. So
Okay.
the YouTube channel, if you get on YouTube and search for Knit Spot, our channel should come up. And but because people pay to be in the wool along, this is a private link, and you need to receive the link from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm very interested to hear about the sheep, and I missed Wednesday night, so that'll be great.
It was very.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I know some people express an interest in having the wool talk on Wednesday nights, but I know that not everybody can make it on a weeknight. So I'll try to vary that throughout, so that sometimes we do the wool talk on Saturday. Let me just make sure that Zach knows he has to email that link to everyone too. Autocorrect is trying to turn MWAL into meal every time. MEAL.
Talk about a frenemy. Autocorrect is both a blessing and a curse.
Okay, sorry about that. Who else has a question? Anybody?
I have a quick one, hopefully,
Uh.
maybe. Thanks for doing this. I'm super excited. I bought the medium yarn and am doing the large cowl. Just here, like it was hard to figure out if I have enough yarn in the medium to do the large
You
cowl.
do. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. The medium kit will make a large cowl or a large scarf, as well as a small cowl and a small scarf, of course, and a lap blanket, which is what I'm knitting now. So, and I don't know, I seem to have plenty of yarn for this, so hopefully everyone else will too.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's where making sure that you're knitting on gauge is important, just to make sure that your yarn, because the kits are specifically sized, to make sure that your yarn will stretch. That said, we will, week by week, as we introduce the new yarn each week, we'll make those extra skeins available to everyone. So if there's a color you especially like, or you feel like, you know, you might not have enough for, you know, the width you have in mind, or you just want to add a little width to your piece, you could purchase extra yarn in those 2-ounce skeins week by week. So
Oh, that's good.
let's see. We have 30 people. Anybody else have a question before we move on? And you know, you can ask a question anytime, but it's kind of nice to cover them in the beginnings because other people may have similar questions. There's nothing too crazy to ask. Can you just, Mary, you can ask out loud.
I'm used to being muted. So I was just wondering, I ordered the small scarf kit,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
then I changed my mind and went and decided to do the petite cowl. I'm
that's
wondering if there's enough to squeeze 2 cowls out of that kit,
Possibly.
you know,
Yeah.
without scrunching my gauge.
Yeah, so the kit has 450 yards total, and the cowl generously takes like 300 yards. You're stacking, in the case of the cowls, you're working in the round, and your stripes will be horizontal, and you're stacking them up. Now the small cowl is like 13.5 inches deep. It's big enough to pull up around your ears and everything. So you could make it shorter if you want to. You can make each of your cowls 3 stripes, and that should be doable. And then, you know, or you could work them in tandem and just, you know, use your yarn alternately.
Well,
and just stop when you're kind of out of yarn.
okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I think I'm kind of, I need to see what the first one looks like as it grows, and then I'll know what to do with the second. But I was wondering if I had enough to even try a second, so cool.
Yeah, you should. I feel like mine didn't take very much at all.
Yeah.
The cowl was super speedy to knit. And
I know I need another clue already.
Well,
Okay.
you know, some people are busy and can't knit as much, and some people are knitting the bigger items, so they can't, you know, keep up with the petite cowl knitters.
Yeah. I have a hurry up and wait job. So sometimes I'm waiting for a long time, and so I can just take this small project along and just sit. And then other times never get to touch it. So
it's nice.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Cindy. We haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I'm back, and so I missed Wednesday, and I was late coming into this. And so of course I have a question. I cast on, I'm making the lap throw, and I casted on with, you know, color 1, and now right away I switched to color 5. That's correct. Okay, and okay.
It's so mysterious, isn't it?
I know. Well, this
Why the
is
heck
so
would I do that?
So I have to tell you my story. So on Tuesday, I left for New York City, and I was so happy. I got it cast on. I had my yarn, and then I got the clues while I was in New York. I'm like, color.
Oh, that was you that we were emailing with.
Color 5. Live with me?
You're all the way in New York and you don't have color 5. Oh,
Right.
God.
But I'm back home and I'm here. So.
I just
I know.
wanted everyone to know, that my name is not Irene.
Oh,
This is my work laptop and I work at an elementary school called Irene Ryther. So my name is really, and OPCO stands for Opportunity Council, which is my actual employer. So
Okay.
that's more than you need to know, but I'm Christy. So that's who I am. I'm also quite sunburned from being at our fun family event. I work at a preschool and we had a fun family event yesterday and I was under a covered area the entire time. And I live in Northwest Washington, in Bellingham, Washington. And I was under a covered area the entire time and I managed to get sunburned.
Wow.
So this is not, necessarily how I usually look. So I just wanted to introduce myself and say hello, friendly knitters, and I'm really happy to join the knit along.
cool.
Christy,
That's probably my favorite introductory story of all time.
Christy,
Christy,
Christy, I live on Whidbey Island. It's Audrey here.
oh,
and
awesome.
I think the reason you got sunburned, it's the first time we've seen sun in about
9
how
months.
many weeks, months? Yeah,
Yep,
this is
And
a
it was-
spring that's good for grass seed to grow.
definitely. And it wasn't even sunny. It was cloudy. It was
Wow,
cloudy
it was
yesterday.
sunny here.
not in Bellingham. So
Christy, this is Janet. I'm out in Maine, but I used to live on Whidbey Island, north of
Awesome.
Audrey, and I went to college in Bellingham at Western.
yes, all right, kindred spirit, fantastic. Well, I love it here. I mean, it's in the 60s, and we don't usually get summer until warm weather until after July 4th. So we have a ways to go, but I know so much of the country is just. I have family in Austin, a lot of family in Austin, and they are just
Oh,
baking and broiling and have been and probably will be all summer. And so my heart goes out to anybody who is too hot right now, but I'm comfy. Nice to meet you all.
I'm in Philly. It was like 90 something yesterday, and today the high is 60 something. So at least it cooled down. But
Yeah.
I couldn't live in the Pacific Northwest. My husband's from Oregon, and all the rain 9 months of the year, I couldn't do it.
Where do you live now, Isha?
Philly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like that here. It got really chilly overnight, and tonight it's going to be in the 40s. I just can't stand it. And then Monday it'll be like 90 again.
Where are you located?
In Ohio,
Okay.
Where?
Northeast Ohio, in Canton.
Okay. I used to live in Pittsburgh. I'm in Colorado now.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah.
I
there's
used
some.
to live in Pittsburgh too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, in the South Hills.
Oh, I lived in Squirrel Hill.
Oh.
I went to college there, so Squirrel Hill.
I used to live in Squirrel Hill too.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I went to IUP.
Oh, I know where that is. Katanning? Was near
They had a branch campus in Katanning. It's
Oh.
actually in the town of Indiana, PA.
I know, isn't
Where-
that funny?
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart was born there.
Yeah, and Latrobe is where Arnie Palmer built his own
Yeah.
airport.
Yeah,
Robe is where Mr. Rogers is from too.
yeah. Oh,
He used to go, Mr. Rogers there was a campus cleaners, dry cleaner right around the corner for KQED.
mhm.
And he would literally bring in armloads of cardigans. And then he actually lived in those towers at the top of Shenley Park, right behind Carnegie Mellon.
Apparently his mom knitted all of the cardigans he wore on his show.
Oh,
Wow,
I didn't know that.
those were good looking.
Huh.
See the fun stuff we learn.
Does anybody else have a question? I'm going to talk about the yarn a little bit since the YouTube video hasn't been posted yet. And I'm sure some people that weren't here Wednesday night are really curious. So first of all, has anybody been able to guess? Like, what is it? Mary? Do
I
you
haven't
know?
even tried. I just know I love color number one. I love it's silky, but you know,
Yeah,
lofty.
yeah. This is our this is one of our classic I want to say standby, but it's one of our kind of constant lines that we do here. So it's not a brand new yarn, but it's our Kent DK. And one of the reasons I chose it for the knit along is that while it is our it is a kind of a fan favorite and we do sell a lot of it, plenty of people have not tried it. So it, you know, one of the difficult things about selling yarn online is that it's hard to translate in photographs how soft a yarn can be while still having a rustic appearance. And most yarns in their natural colors do look more rustic. So we often get comments from people like, oh, it looks so scratchy, or I'm afraid to try it because it looks so scratchy. And so, you know, one of the aims of this knit along is to introduce people to natural, rustic, but beautiful and soft yarns. And so this is our Kent DK. It is a blend of Romney, wool, and merino. And the Romney is a long wool heritage sheep that originated in Kent, England, which is in a coastal area of England that gets exactly. You have it already. See, so you could even add that into your project if you wanted to. You're muted, so we can't hear what you're saying.
I thought I was, there we go. Yeah, I bought this, I don't know, recently and boom, I can add that.
There you go. You just expanded your the size of your kit.
Yeah.
So the Romney is a long luster wool sheep, meaning that it has the ability to grow a longer coat. And long wool sheep tend to have slightly coarser wool. Not always, there's never like absolutes, you know, there are so many breeds, but in general, long wools tend to be a little bit coarser. They're not as crimpy and bouncy as a fine wool or a soft wool sheep like a merino or cormo. And the way that their fleece grows, and you know, one of the reasons that it is longer is that there's much less crimp in the fibers. So the fiber is more S-shaped as it grows out, instead of that real tight zigzaggy shape that a soft short wool would have. Part of the reason for that, by the way, it's kind of it's thought that sheep who grow short, soft, fine wool tend to produce more grease and swint. They call it swint. It's like a hard, waxy substance that grows or that is excreted by the hair follicles. So soft, short, fine wool sheep tend to produce more grease and lanolin in their coat, and long wool sheep tend to produce much less of it. So one of the reasons it's thought that fine, short wool sheep have usually that tighter crimp is because that waxy lanolin builds up around the opening of the hair follicle and literally pushes the hair as it grows you know, into a zigzaggy shape. So in order for the hair to get out of the follicle, it has to work its way around these waxy deposits along the canal of the hair follicle. And so then when it, you know, when it grows out, it's more of a zigzaggy shape. And long wool sheep produce much less of this substance, and it's not as hard and thick. So their hair can grow straighter out of the hair follicle. I don't know if this puzzle has been solved scientifically, but that's something that I read a couple of years ago about fine wool versus long wool that I thought was really interesting. And also the long wool sheep, the shape of their hair follicles is different. They're more, they lay closer to the surface of the hair, of the hair as it grows. And they're a little bit, the scales of the hair follicle are a little bit harder, and they are reflective of light. So that's what gives these fibers their luster. So not all long wool sheep are luster wools, but many of them are. And the sheep that are luster wools are long wool sheep. So short, fine, crimpy fiber isn't just naturally as lustrous. As I said earlier, the long wool sheep the fleece tends to be a little more coarse. And just as a natural occurrence, with sheep that produce a range of colors in their coats, the darker wool tends to be a little bit coarser than the white wool. In the same, as long as the fleeces are the same grade overall, if that makes sense. So sheep vary a lot. The quality of the fleece that's produced by sheep varies a lot from, you know, depending on the nutrition and the climate that they're exposed to, and how focused the producer is on producing sheep with good wool. If they are using genetics when they're breeding their sheep to keep producing better and better wool. And that said, though, all of those things being fairly equal, lighter color fleece tends to be a little finer and softer than darker color fleece from the same breed. Any questions about that so far? So the Romney, is also called the Kent, you know, as a breed, in its kind of home stomping grounds, is a lowland sheep, which normally lowland sheep produce a soft, fine fiber. But because of the particular geographic location of this lowland area, being on the coast and in an area which is exposed to very harsh winds and rough weather, these lowland sheep produce a long luster wool that's a little more coarse. So the Romney is an example of a sheep that absolutely reflects its geographic location. Its exposure to the elements is a large determinant of the way the fleece looks and feels. Romneys produce a wide range, almost the entire range of colors in their coats. Not all at once necessarily, but different sheep produce different colors normally. And everything from a white to a warm gray brown to a morit brown, which is, morit is a brown that's more chocolatey with a little bit more orangey color in it than the gray browns. And they also produce cool grays, silver gray and black. So there's a really wide range of colors, and our Kent DK line is reflective of all of those shades. I'm not in the shop today like I was the other night, so I can't show you all the colors like I did the other night, but we have now, with the Folkstone added, we now have 12 colors of Kent, and they're all natural undyed shades. Most of them are straight colors from fleeces, but we also mix some of the different shades from fleeces to make ever new colors. And then there's our mill. The mill that our fleece is spun in is a small family business, and every once in a while a mistake happens or a happy accident happens where the color, a new color is born. It's hardly ever anymore an instance of us asking for a new color. We just get one and we have to find a new name for it, because we often, even when it's a mistake, it's something that we fall in love with. So our Kent, there was something else I was going to say about the colors, and I'll have to circle back because I can't remember now, but our Kent, our Romney wool that we source for our Kent yarn doesn't come from Kent, England. It is raised in the Eastern United States. Almost all of it comes from upstate New York, some of it from Vermont and Massachusetts. So it's all, our wools in general are sourced close to the mill where they are spun. So that keeps our carbon footprint down. It keeps the relationship between the mill and the producer a kind of more intimate one, where the mill is always in contact with the producer, and we're always the first to hear if they've got, something special or something new. We've had Kent in our lineup now for, at least 10 years, maybe 11. And I have to say that I have seen a real evolution in the quality of the fiber from the producers that we work with. So knowing that we will absorb a large amount of their fiber, they have more and more focused on producing the best fiber and even making that a priority. So Romney sheep are, in addition to their beautiful fleece, they're also raised for meat, and as well as skins, and so a lot of farmers are up against, the challenge of making it all work. And producing wool is never going to make it all work. Producing wool is never going to support your flock and all the feed and care and housing and special attention, vetting and inoculations and things like that need to take place to have a healthy flock, to produce that healthy fiber. And so by necessity, almost all producers are meat producers as well as wool producers. It's just a happy occurrence for them if they've got a customer that will always take more of whatever they can produce in terms of great fiber. So working with the same producers now for a decade has brought us to this point, which Mary mentioned, that in the last couple of years, our Kent yarn has just been fabulous. The fiber that we're getting is just the highest quality I've seen in terms of Romney wool. And not that I've seen Romney wool worldwide, every instance of it, but I've seen quite a bit of it, and ours is very soft and silky. It's also very shiny, and I often say that the Romney that we've been getting, and when I knit with it, it makes me think of mohair. It's so fine and silky and shiny. It really feels that luxurious. And so we're really lucky to have this relationship with these wonderful producers, and they really earmark the best fleeces for us because we've been such good customers for them. Not that we're saving their farm or anything like that. It's just that it oftentimes producers who have flocks of the size we're working with, which is not big ranch sized herds. It's usually 150 or so, sheep and goats to produce the amount of fiber that we need yearly. Those people are constantly juggling the finances of their farm, and good wool quality can't be the only consideration that they have, but it's really a testament to the relationship that we've built that it can be, that good wool quality can be very high on the priority list for them. So kudos to our producers. We're always really grateful. We're always really, really grateful for them. Let's see. Do you have any questions about the Romney sheep themselves? Anybody? Usually if you live in the Midwest or the Eastern United States, and actually there are really large Romney ranches out in Washington and Oregon too. I know I'm pretty sure that the National Romney Association is based in Oregon. And I know one year at Rhinebeck, I spoke to the organization at a dinner, and a lot of those people had come all the way across the country with their animals to show at the New York State Sheep and Wool Show. So it was really cool to get to talk to some people from out there. But we don't source our wool from producers that far away at this time. Although we have explored the option, the fiber isn't usually the same quality quite. When it comes from a big ranch like that, one of the things that you can lose is that super special quality that a small producer can provide you with. Let's see. No questions? Anybody want to say anything or show off their knitting?
Shall we do a show and tell?
Thank you, Jose. Please, I'm here. Please, somebody talk.
All right, well, I'll go around my screen and start with not Irene.
Christy.
She goes,
Christy.
oh, that's me. That's me. Well, you see, I am just on row 2. I am making the large scarf. And so I just cast on this morning, so I'm not very far yet, but soon I'll start the pattern.
That's good progress.
Thanks.
Wow. Cherie? Sherry or Cherie? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was the one with all the questions that I haven't even started to cast on, so.
That's okay. There are others like you in this group.
I'm doing a cow, definitely. I'm struggling between the large and the small one, and I have 3 colors of Jacob yarn that I hand spun as part of the Shave 'em to Save 'em initiative. And I also have some nice Gulf Coast native that I dyed with marigold. So I have white and green and yellow of that. So I might add green and yellow to the white, dark brown and medium. So I've got a lot to decide before I get started, but since it's a cow, hopefully I'll catch up.
That sounds wonderful.
But it's really nice next to Skin Soft. Jacob is
Yeah.
kind of like a Romney. It's a little bit of, it's a medium wool, and but this particular Jacob is just so lovely, and that's why I picked it, and I have all this stuff I need to use. So
Nice.
I could say that I love Anne's Jacob yarn. I'm just gonna add that. If anyone
Yeah.
wants to try Jacob, she's
Yeah,
got a really
it's
nice Jacob
wonderful.
yarn.
I'll definitely have to try that then.
Yeah, we're really lucky in that the mill that makes our Jacob yarn, the people who own it are Jacob producers. So they're really, really into like, you know, who's got the best Jacob.
Oh, okay. I've
Yeah.
done the Fin Dandy yarn and the is it the Better Breakfast? No, this for the stone soup that has a little flecky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Those are the elements I've used. So what's your Jacob yarn called?
The sport is called Jacob's Dream Sport, and then the fingering is just called Jacob Fingering.
I will definitely have to try it because I'm kind of off a superwash wool, but I'd like to make sweaters with fingering weight. So that might be a nice one, fingering or sport.
Yeah. Yeah, none of
Very
our wools are super washed, so nothing with our label on it ever gets any of that treatment. So the one thing about our Jacob that I'm always trying to change is that it's available only in the one shade because the mill just likes to put all the colors together, and they don't get their Jacob fleeces sorted into colors. So, you know, and they're not able to do that at the mill. So I always wish we could do some separated Jacob, but
yeah, this is white, dark, and very in the middle of the two, which is sort of a gray brown. But first I at Worcester, I bought the Modern Deco lace and the real lacy mitts. So those are going to come first after this. And so I'm really excited. I just thought they were so cool.
Nice. Catherine.
I am on row 4. I'm doing the small cowl. And for those of you that were here earlier, I love the Kent so much. I decided I'm going to do it all in the Kent Folkstone. So the whole cowl. And I knit a sweater with the Kent DK, and the stitch definition, it was a pearl pattern, one of Anne's Mayan puzzle, and the stitch definition is fantastic. And I just love it. I wear it all the time. So anybody who was on the Rhinebeck KL probably saw me wearing it quite a bit this winter. So I could testify I really enjoyed it. But not a lot to show, but I'm enjoying everything about it. So thanks.
Excellent. Julie.
I just cast on at the start of the meeting today, and I'm on row 4 of the pattern of chart A. I'm doing the large blanket.
Oh,
so I was unsure about casting on for this because my some of you who were in here in previous KLs know I'm having shoulder surgery coming up, so it's 2 weeks from, it's less than 2 weeks away. So I thought I wasn't going to start this because I'm not going to be able to knit for a while, and then I figured my gauge might change when I finally can knit. But it's Kent. I had to cast on because I love. I thought it was Kent when I opened it up. I was like, this feels like Kent, but I thought they weren't going to be. I didn't expect it to be a yarn I knew, so I thought, it's something that's really similar to Kent. I wonder what it is.
Don't forget, Julie, when Robin had her shoulder surgery, she started knitting a lot sooner than she thought she would. So you might be surprised.
Yeah, I suspect they're going to tell me to start with small projects, though. So I don't know if a blanket is going to be.
It's a little ambitious after surgery.
But it'll give me something to aim for, to get back into knitting form. So
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Excellent. Sally is not in front of her screen, so we'll come back to her. Carol, we can't see you, but if you want to show your stuff, you can. Okay, Audrey, we'll go with you.
So I'm loving this Kent. I've never used it. I've used others of Anne's. And I'm doing the large cowl. And I just got through that first pattern of decreases and in yarn overs. And I'm starting the 9th row. I'm loving it. Yeah. The hardest part for me always is counting stitches on those first few rows. Until I get the pattern started, it's like, how can I do it wrong so many times? But then once I got it going.
Yeah.
Can we see how big your cowl is? Can we see how
It's
big the
gonna be the
diameter?
large cowl.
Okay.
Of course, I'm on a 40-inch needle. The pattern size says it will be 64 inches, I believe.
So 40-inch needle for that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it was very tight in the beginning.
So
Like it was
you
really
can
hard
wear
to
it.
get the first few rounds moving because it was so scrunched and there wasn't any bulk to it. I don't think my gauge has changed to make it looser, but perhaps I do. But the long cowl intrigued me because I've seen people wearing them for the very reason Anne said, that I'm hoping it'll be long until I need it, and then I can just cross it over and pull it over my head. That's my goal.
Thank you. It's helpful.
Sally, I see you're back.
Yes, I purchased some yarn at the Sheep and Wool in Maryland from your booth, and I made this hat. This is
Oh, yummy.
Oh, yeah.
for my husband.
Mm.
It is, I called my sister, I said, oh my gosh, working with this yarn is just unbelievable. So I wanted to join in this knit along to learn more about the different yarns that you have. And I'm thrilled that this first one's Kent because it's just so luscious and fun. And I'm on row 12. I purchased the medium kit, I think. I'm thinking the long, I guess I'll make the large scarf with the medium kit, one of each.
Yeah.
Is that what you cast on for?
Yeah, is the large scarf and the lap blanket the same?
The same amount of yarn, but
Okay.
not the same size.
I cast on 150 stitches.
Oh, that's the lap blanket.
Oh, is that the lap blanket? I guess I'm making the lap blanket.
Yeah, so the lap blanket has half the number of stitches in the length, and then you'll use your yarn up going across. You'll make more stripes than for the scarf.
Oh. So if I was to do the scarf, I should have cast on a lot more.
297.
290.
200.
297.
Oh, why didn't I see that? Oh, I see. Oh, I got confused. Okay, well, I'll make.
You have some thinking to do.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm starting to feel like I made way too many options in the pattern. I was trying to make it universally appealing by, giving a lot of sizes and lots of options. And
It's always nice to have options. Yeah.
I know, but now I'm feeling like I made too many.
No, I can totally see it now. I just got confused.
Yeah. Isn't it nice though, Anne, to hear about the reaction to first time using the yarn?
Absolutely.
Like you fell in love with your very first project with the yarn, and we all get it here. We understand.
What's really heartwarming is how many people have said, thank you for doing this. Like it, I think this is going to be really you know, cool and educational in addition to being, you know, a fun knit along, but it's kind of forcing you to experience the yarns in a blindfolded way, you know, and you're not bringing any of your preconceptions about what a certain fiber might be like, or what natural wools might be like. And I just grateful that so many people were willing to jump in and do it, because it's a good opportunity. And if we love it, maybe we'll do it again.
And I'm sure Ellie doesn't mind starting over.
No, I'll go with the lap blanket. I'll
Yeah.
be using these yarns again soon. I want to make a sweater for my husband and using your yarns. And I'm thinking this Kent might be the right one to use. Because it does show a pattern beautifully. I would believe hold the structure.
Oh yeah, it does. It's the Kent yarn. For some reason, I'm not, you know, I'm not exactly sure why, but designers love it. You know, most designers who ask for yarn support are requesting either Kent or Better Breakfast, and they're kind of polar opposites in many ways. And so I think that's funny. You know, of course, everyone knows my personal favorite yarn. And I personally just love the Stone Soup yarns, and I'm always trying to persuade other designers to try them out, but not very many kind of get past the Kent. They just really like it, or the Better Breakfast. It's kind of funny. Everybody has their favorites, and you know, one of the aims of the wool along is to kind of break up everybody's, you know, favorites. Anyway, I didn't mean to get waylaid from the show and tell, Jose.
That's fine. Mary?
Okay, well, here I got, so since I'm waiting for clue 2, I had bought the Shetlandia fingering. Can you see that? I don't know, I magpied it a while ago because I get the newsletter now. And I came across Kent by a mistake. There was this offer recently. If you buy this Kent DK, you get the the Kent, you get the Les Abeilles pattern for free. And I don't know if and I was traveling and I said, oh, I got to get this. And so I bought, instead of the fingering, I bought the Kent by accident, maybe. I don't know. I was on vacation. I don't care. And so I started knitting Les Abeilles, it's a shawl.
Well, we do have a sample of that shawl in the Kent DK. So we have, yeah, we have knitted just on a different needle size. So
oh, okay. Well, I started knitting it and I was thinking, I just fell in love with this wool. And then I was saying, you know, I am gonna run out because I'm using the fatter wool, or, you know, the thicker yarn. I don't know what the right words are. So I unwound it and thought, well, I'll try the fingering. So now I'm doing the Shetlandia fingering with the Les Abeilles.
Oh,
and when I started this project, I was like, wow, this is just like that Kent. But it must be new. So I, like someone else said, it's something new. So it's not Kent, you know, it's just, anyway. So that, oh, and then here's the cowl itself. I didn't know what to do with the color number 5, you know, in that pattern. So I just thought, well, I'll try my color number 3, which I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, so I won't. And it really didn't make a difference it didn't pop out
Not a lot of
This is-
contrast.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my cowl thus far. And I'm seeing that lovely stitch design, which I keep wiggling around. I don't know if you could see it. And this is as far as I can get until clue 2. But now I'm thinking about taking it apart and starting again and adding this one in.
Oh, there you go. You have time.
You have time, yeah.
I have time. Or I might just, like you said, start the second one with just this color, just to highlight these stitches and the
mix it up.
pattern.
There you go.
I love
Awesome.
choices.
Now, so many options.
I know. There's so many, yeah. So, and maybe that's what kind of panicked people, because it's like, well, which way do I go? And after having started, it's like, oh, well, I could do this, that, or the other.
You can do what you like.
Yeah. So
I know
love
that not many patterns let you do what you want, but you can. And as you progress through the stripes, you'll have more options for stitch patterns as well. So you can even mix and match the stitch patterns, you know, if you want to.
Sure. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'm loving it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Andrea?
Hi, it's me. I am doing the large cowl. So just on row 3 now. So hopefully my sister-in-law loves infinity scarves, so, and she's petite. So hopefully we'll see if it works and if it turns out. But I saw you guys at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Fest as well. And this is actually like, I've been knitting for years, but this is my first time actually knitting with real wool. And like following this detailed the patterns. So I'm along for the journey. I'll probably have a lot more questions as we go along, but I'm loving it so far.
You're our favorite victim.
Love it. Love it. Yes.
All right. Let me see, gotta change screens. Lucy.
Give me a second here. I am making the throw, and I too am loving it. It's just lovely. And my moment of discovery came Wednesday night when I was just horrified. When I was taught to do yarn overs, this has been a long time ago, I went from front to back. Thank you very much, Anne. Back to front, huh?
Oh, you were one of those people. Wow.
Whoa.
That must have been like shocking to you.
It was. I've been knitting a very long time. I was like,
and you knit a lot of different things.
Yeah, I do. So
so is your mind blown with your new yarn overs?
Yeah, well, it is really interesting to me because I started this scarf. I think it's Sparrow's Nest. And I have this yarn that came in one of the barn box things, and I have no idea what it is because my dog ate the label. I can't quite figure it out. But
well, if it's white, we only have one white, right? Recently, we had the Polworth.
I think it was before Polworth. I think I have Polworth marked downstairs, but this was like last year, not this year.
The cashmere, maybe?
Doesn't feel like
the deco lace for the
but that was in the B&K. That was
right. Sorry.
Well, I'll figure it, and it really doesn't matter a whole bunch.
Or it could be that she bought some Shetlandia when we got the sport yarn.
Yeah. At some point in time, I'm going to track it down, and then I'll let you know.
You can even send us a yarn, and we can let you know what it is.
Oh, okay. I can do
send us
that.
a sample. Yeah.
Anyway, I was knitting all this with my front to back. So I thought, well, this is a scarf, and nobody's going to know this but me. I'm going to switch over and see what happens. But it's much. It's more. It's tighter. It's a tighter loop, and it's more consistent, it looks like. I'm not too far along in it, so I don't know yet, but it's interesting to me. Yeah, it has blown my mind, and I thought,
So when you did your yarn overs the wrong way, on the following row, did you work through the back of the loop then,
No.
or?
no.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh.
they're really, they don't
So
look
they
bad.
must be small, right?
No, they're,
Oh.
you know, it's kind of hard to see on a screen like this, but.
Yeah, well, in that pattern, you're doing them on every row, so.
Right. So they were all the same size, and it really looks fun. I'd never look at it and see that there was something terribly wrong, but there's something terribly wrong.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Leslie.
Hi there. So I am working on the large scarf.
Nice.
And I'm on row 12 of the pattern. I just barely started it there. And I've never actually done any kind of knit along before, but I was really interested in this one because of looking at the different wools. I am a really big fan of Roxanne Richardson's YouTube channel, and she has done this project where she spun wool from a bunch of different breeds of sheep. And I wanted to be able to do something like that, but I don't want to learn to spin. I don't have the room for it right now. So I was really excited to hear about this knit along because it seemed like kind of the same sort of idea.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And part
Isha?
of, and just, you know, as a note, one of the goals in producing our own yarns, or my own yarns, was to bring to make available to all knitters yarns that had that feeling of being hand spun without being hand spun. So they have that bouncy, lively feeling of being hand spun because the wool is all natural, but they have enough consistency and refinement to work for a whole variety of different kinds of knitting patterns and to be stand-ins for commercial yarns that might be called for in knitting patterns. So they really straddle the world between like super commercial yarns and hand spun or farm yarns, which are not always as consistent as a commercial yarn needs to be for knitting patterns. So anyway.
Yeah, and it's been exciting to see so many new kinds of yarn available with a wider variety of wool than was true, you know, even just like 10 years ago.
Right. Thank you. Isha.
So I'm making the throw. I'm on about row 12 right now. I'm using my own yarn, but in a gradient of colors, but trying to keep them kind of muted seascape kind of colors. And so there's actually 7 colors that I'm using, so we'll see how I manage that gradient. But yeah, I'm having fun with it so far. This is my first time doing any sort of mystery knit along, and originally I'd bought the pattern only thinking I could use yarn I had, but I didn't have enough in that weight. And so I went and bought yarn and it arrived yesterday. So yeah.
It'll be fun to follow your progress on that. 7 colors you said, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
What yarn are you using?
So this is from, I only recently started moving away from the commercial yarns, and this is from someone who does hand dyeing, and she tries to use more eco-friendly dyes and stuff. So her name is Surella. That's her company name. SEWRELLA, like Cinderella, Surella.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's merino wool. So
nice. Jackie.
Hello, everyone. I am working on the wrap. So I'm not sure I can show it because it's there's 318 stitches and it's a little scrunched. But
That's okay. You're all
I'm in the
dark. I
dark.
don't think we can see
Yeah.
you anyhow.
I'm in
You're
the
in-
dark. I
It's
mean,
like you're knitting in the witness protection program.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Yes, little did you know. Hold on. Let me see if I can unplug myself and move.
I'm not making fun. It's just really funny.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, that looks great.
Beautiful.
So I'm just finishing row 14.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, row 14 is going to take me pretty much to the end of skein 1. Is that about right, do you think?
For the
large, for the wrap and the large kit. So I have 2.
Yeah, for the wrap, that should be about right. The pattern number 1 uses the most yarn, so that's the widest stripe. It's 14. In terms of one repeat of the pattern, that's like the widest repeat.
Okay.
So all the other stripes, you have the ability to make them a little narrower or wider if you want. So
And then
with
I could get
Yeah.
more of the Kent. I could just order a couple more skeins of the Kent if I wanted it a little bit more, right?
Sure, yeah. And for the wrap, you'll want to make a total of about 10 stripes. So
Okay.
you should have enough then.
Okay. Great.
All right. Jean. You're muted. Oh, no, now you are.
Muted.
There
Okay,
you are.
can you hear me? Yeah, so I'm like everybody else in terms of what it looks like, but I'm on the 10th row of the pattern part, and I'm doing the large scarf.
Nice.
So, and I will have to say, I said to Robert when I opened up number 1, I said, this is Kent, I just know it, but I do, I'm cheating because I had a whole sweater of Kent to just know that I'm like, I know this feels exactly like that. So
You
that
had
was
just
kind of
put it
fun.
down. Right.
Yeah. So
Your fingers knew.
I was kind of proud of myself for getting it, but so that was fun.
Catherine, do you have a question?
I do, but I can wait till the end of show and tell. Whatever you want.
No, go ahead and ask.
Okay, it's a question about the pattern and the lace. I was just curious about that it doesn't have rest rows. And I was curious about how because the other times I've knit with Kent, there was always rest rows. So I'm curious how there isn't a rest row, how that's going to affect like the drape or the stitch definition, if at all. It just, I was just wondering.
I would say it doesn't, it won't.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is the only stitch pattern that doesn't have rest rows.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there was like a reason other than maybe yardage, or I just was curious.
No, it's just, I always really liked that stitch pattern, so I wanted to put it in there.
It's cool.
And
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It was
Eileen.
that was actually going to be the last stitch pattern, but Barb, but we had a little kerfuffle about colors, and as some people know, and we ended up putting that one first. So anyway.
All right, go ahead, Eileen.
Okay, I'm doing the lap. At least that's why I've got out here. And I really love it. I've been in the barn box for a couple of years now, and I do have a few extra pieces left over. So I thought I would tear this out since I love it so much and go with a bigger size. And then any extras that I have of the previous stuff, I will incorporate it in, but I want to do the patterns repeats from 1 through 5, like you're doing. And then I'll add in a sixth one or something like that and do a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah,
So-
we've had some yarns that would really work well with this project, like the Frisian DK. Trying to think of what else we've done in Barn Box that was.
I have some of the DK though with all those, and I think it would work in really nice. And then have a bigger lap or blanket than the lap, because I started with the lap and I really like the size of it, and it's really soft and pretty. And I have to say, all of your yarns that I've ever had has been very high quality in comparison to others that I've used and from other companies and other yarn shops and stuff. Yours is so much better. And
thank you.
I love all your sizes and your pattern. I think it's wonderful, and the patterns are beautiful. It's just versatile with any of it. So I'm going.
And that kind of came about. That kind of came about by people saying, "Oh, you know, this would be nice as a cowl, and this would be nice as a scarf, and I wish this had another size." And you know, finally, I just started putting all of it in.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I think they're right. It is just gorgeous in the size and everything, and it's so drapey, and I just love it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a couple other things from the pattern. So
yeah,
and I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
Janet, you're off screen. There you are.
I had to stand up for a minute. So I am doing the scarf, the large scarf. Just changing to put on the border for 2. There's what she looks like. Okay.
Very nice. All right. Amanda.
What is it?
Okay. So I'm knitting the lap blanket, and I have just finished up row 14. And I'm really enjoying the Kent DK, and glad I had the opportunity to try it, because I think I'm going to make a sweater with it later this year. And I've been planning that based on reputation of the Kent rather than actually even having touched it, other than I guess the Kent lace. So I was like, oh, good, nice chance to play with it first and be sure I want to do a sweater out of it.
And now you know.
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah, I know.
Now you know what we all know.
Yeah.
I can't believe you had any doubt, Amanda.
I know.
Really, but it's just nice to preview it first.
Yeah. On something small, get a taste of it.
I can't believe, I started this last night and I've already through the 14th row of the chart. So can't believe how fast it's going.
Yeah.
I'm doing the throw, and I'm on row 12. But I also wanted to report that I finished knitting. I haven't blocked it yet, but I finished knitting my spring frost, I think is what it's called.
Oh, that looks so pretty.
And I want you to know, well, here's the thing. Anne's always telling us to read the instructions. Well, I read the instructions, but I think I should read them like 3 times, because when I did the bottom hem, somehow I circled 6 repeats of the pattern instead of 4. So then when I got to the end, I had to unravel my
You ran out of yarn.
Here's yarn chicken. I did the full 6 repeats on the top hem, and I have this much yarn left over. Just barely enough to weave it in. So I consider myself really lucky. And I
You
love the
win.
pattern.
You win.
I know. I love the pattern. I love the yarn. I'm loving everything I do with this. So thanks.
So you ran out of yarn because it
Because
does Okay.
That part takes up a bit of extra yarn, and I knit continental, so I probably use a little more yarn
That
than.
makes me feel a little better. I was really worried when you were running out of yarn. I'm like, that shouldn't be
wrong
like
with
that.
Yeah, yeah, but anyway. And I want to report that I received my replacement yarn for the dandelion honey.
Oh,
I
good.
got a little nervous because I thought, well, this looks kind of light too, but then I took the ends of what I've already knitted, just the bit of yarn, and laid it on the skein, and it looks the same when I do it that way. Because the knitted yarn, the knitted pieces look a little darker than the skein itself.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's just the way it is. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I'm excited about getting started on that again too. And it's in the Kent lace, and I didn't recognize that it was the same because it feels pretty different in the lace. I like it a lot, but it's a different feel. Anyway, thanks.
All right, Robin.
All right, so I actually have my lowly little cast on for the large scarf, but at least I casted it on. But I did want to show the people that were questioning making a sweater out of Kent that I made this cam cable out of Kent. This is kelp. And I also made a sweater out of that incorporates lace at the neck out of beach glass. So I totally think you should make a sweater out of Kent because it's awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful sweaters.
Thank you.
And that one with the lace is so delicate. I mean, I was really surprised when the designer chose that yarn for that sweater project, but it really did knit up to be a delicate fabric. And I always think of Kent as being a sturdy yarn, but it's so airy in that pretty lace pattern.
Okay, one more question.
Uh-huh.
If I bought one color of each 5 skeins, could I make the large or the small scarf?
You can make, you need 1 skein of each to make the large scarf.
Okay. I just ripped out the lap blanket. I want a scarf. So I just wanted to make sure before I make another mistake.
Yeah, no, so, but that's what you have, right? You have one skein of each. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
large. That was the first sample that I knit, and I really like the way it came out. It's really large and squishy. And the colors are, I've said it a million times, but I think the colors are stunning together. They're just all together really stunning.
All right, Karen. Karen in Peterborough.
Before I start, if dogs come charging through the door, don't get scared. We were gardening this morning. I had a good time. Here I'm making the large blanket. I had never used the Kent, and the only thing with my old eyes and the fact that I had cataract surgery and lenses is I needed a lot of light in order to do my counting and seeing everything with darker colors. But I did like it. I really liked number 5 in its fluffiness, and I can't wait to hear more about it, the brown. And I'm really excited about number 2 because I'm a soft, fluffy person that has used the Better Breakfast a lot. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Nice. And no dogs have crashed through. Karen T.
Okay, hi. I'm doing the throw as well. I think it's 40 by 50 inches. It's if I looked at the instructions correctly. And yeah, I love this yarn. I love all the yarn. And the color combinations are beautiful. I love the way it's contrasting and with low contrast and high contrast. Oh, I'm in love. I really wanted a blanket that was light and warm because I have a bunch of Afghans that my grandmother crocheted and they're heavy. And I think this is going to be sweet in the winter, spring, and fall, really.
Crochet is kind of heavy. The stitches are heavy and the yarn is more like a double yarn almost, you know.
Yeah. And you have not talked about the second yarn, the white, the creamy one?
Not yet. We're doing
Okay.
one per week. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so
Okay.
starting on Wednesday, we'll talk about that.
Okay, and I have this yarn that I bought from a local spinner. And I thought maybe I could add it in, but it's I don't know if it's it's 200 yards and 120 grams. Is that DK or is that thicker?
It's slightly thicker, but you know, if you you can knit a swatch with it and see if the gauge works, it should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's really beautiful, and I also think it's a single ply. So I don't know how it's going to look, but I wish I had made it a little longer, because I'm tall. I'm like 5 and I'm all legs. But I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So you're making the large throw?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's making a leg blanket.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. So thank you. I'm really enjoying this. Happy I found y'all.
All right, Sheila.
Hi, everybody. I am doing the lap blanket and I am on row 11. This is the first time I've done it. First time I've done a mystery knit along. It's the first time I've done lace without a rest row, which is kind of messing me up, but I'm struggling through and it's working so far. And I also do my yarn overs backwards, and I've been doing it for 30 years now. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to change. And it just seems to work for me. So maybe it's not really backwards. Maybe I just don't understand. But anyway, it's quite lovely. Thank you.
It looks hard and wide. And some people learn to do them backwards, but then also learn on the following row to work through the back of the loop and that untwists them. So
yeah, I've never noticed a twist. So maybe I'm just doing it and I don't know it, because that is possible. Honestly.
All right.
But thank you for doing this project. I really am enjoying it.
Oh, good.
All right, so I don't know, Ellen, Stephanie, or Jenny, if you want to show your stuff or want to remain anonymous, that's okay. The progress has been very similar so far.
But I like hearing people talk about their experience too. And I think that's part of show and tell is hearing each other, you know, commenting on different aspects of it.
And I want to put in a comment about this color. I love this color knit up. I like it. It looks so cool knit up with the streaks like you were talking about. So I will vote for this being permanently added to the lineup. I would make a sweater color. Once I'm recovered and have 4-ounce skein.
Yeah, Barb already had that on her list of things to talk to the mill about, and her only worry is like, what if they can't replicate it? You know? I'm like,
yeah, I hope they can.
I'll go up there personally and and berate her for it. But yeah, we love it too. It's a real favorite kind of color for me. Those muddy, greasy colors. Yeah.
Well, that just changed my perspective. I don't notice a twist in my yarn over either when I go front to back. And I don't see much difference so far. I switched, as I said. and I
Maybe
just-
you weren't really doing it incorrectly the way you thought.
Yeah, well, could be. It's sure much harder to do it back to front for me, but maybe it's just because I've been doing it front to back. But I have to be really careful. I'm
When
not-
your yarn is, when you're doing it, let's just run through it just to make sure. I don't want to set you on the wrong pace because you thought you were doing it wrong when you weren't. So.
Well, I knit continental, first of all.
You what?
I knit continental, first of all. I know how you feel about that, but it's too late for me.
I
to
don't
change
I don't
that.
have feelings about it. I knit content. I use my left hand to knit when I'm doing color work. It's a necessity, you know. So you're holding your yarn continental. When you bring the yarn around the needle, yes, you do have to start if it's in the back. So let's say you've done a knit stitch and your yarn is in the back. What I said is you bring the yarn counterclockwise around the needle to do your yarn over.
Okay.
So
it goes from somehow that particular analogy doesn't work for me.
So if you've done the knit stitch, your yarn is behind your work.
Yeah.
You need to bring it to the front and around the needle.
Oh, that's what I've been doing.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, good, because I've been doing it right too.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So we're all good.
That's a
Okay.
relief. I was
Yeah.
trying. This is because it's so much harder to do it the other way and it's not looking better. You know,
No.
so, thank you.
And your yarn overs in your previous work look fine, so that.
Oh, yeah.
maybe
I've
they're-
never looked at them. I mean, I've gotten a pretty good eye over the years, or at least
Mm-hmm.
acceptable, but I've never seen anything strange about it. Okay. Okay, back to normal. This is worth tons to me.
Well, I belong to 2 knitting groups up here in Bel.
Oh, you're muted, Christy.
There we go. Sorry. I belong to 2 knitting groups up here in Bellingham, and nobody knows about you guys, or they probably do, but I haven't heard about Bare Naked Wolves from anybody. So this will be a treat to introduce all my friends in the 2 groups to the company.
Please do.
I will, and I'm going to talk it up because I'm having a ball here, even though, of course, I screwed up almost right out of the gate. You know how your first 2 rows are supposed to be, knit, and then the second one purl. Well, I knit them both. So, but it's garter stitch. It looks nice, whatever. And that's on me, not on you. But I will definitely talk up this yarn and let everybody feel it and look at it. I should have more done by Tuesday than I have done now. So there's more to look at. But anyway, I am enjoying the yarn very, very much. Thank you.
Christine, it's probably not too late for them to join. 'Cause
Yeah, they can still
we
join.
don't even have Clue 2 yet.
Oh, you're right. So by the time I see them on Tuesday evening, once my work is completely done, which will be next week, then I'll be meeting with the Tuesday morning group. But
And
okay,
we
well,
also have like a catch-up week where there won't be a Clue because of the holiday.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you for those tips. I'll let them know.
That's really interesting, Christy, that you hadn't heard of Bare Naked Wolves before. I had, but I'm also in the Seattle Knitters Guild. And Anne just came and talked to the guild 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't even know, sometime in the past year.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was in April, right?
It could have been. I have no sense of time anymore.
I know, right? The COVID years really screwed up my time too. I because I was also out that way. I was in Tacoma to teach, and that got me all confused. I did the Seattle Guild after that, so it was in April. Yeah. Yes.
Well, it was a very interesting talk, and I'm surprised not to see anybody else from the guild signed up, because I was super interested after that.
Well, if you ever come back this way, I'd love to know so I could see you and meet you.
And to be honest, Leslie, we have about 200 people signed up. So, and in the Zooms, we usually only get about a quarter of the total people on Zoom at a time. So you may see friends from time to time.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear that ratio. That was something I was wondering about as well.
I don't know how other people who do knit alongs, how that pans out for them, but typically that's about our average. We get lots of signups and people who like to follow along and in Ravelry and knit along that way, as opposed to actually getting on Zoom. But we definitely have diehard Zoom fans now that we really look forward to our knitting nights together, which is really nice.
I try to plan my life around these.
And
I
I've
definitely
heard of
plan my-
Zoom before.
Yeah,
As
I
do
love-
I plan my life around it, but you can tell this time of year I'm not wildly successful.
I love these groups, and I do plan my life around it. And I'm also I'm in one other Zoom that meets on Tuesdays, and it's only for an hour, and it's just like it feels like it goes by so fast because this is a 2-hour one, and I guess I like both of them for different reasons. I just love knitting with other knitters, and because I live in the boonies up here, this is my fun time. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Last winter, so if you're interested, I found a ton of groups on Meetup that are knitting groups, and that like they're in New York or they're based, not where I live, but I'm like, I'm crashing your party because you all are on Zoom. And then I even found on Eventbrite, there's some international ones, which is really fun and different. And so there's a lot out there. And I too have been talking up this mystery knit along to everyone.
Thank you. I just thought it would be kind of novel idea. I don't know that it's a widespread thing to do quite this way. And I do a class that's like this, and it kind of came out of that. It kind of germinated in the idea of that class, and as well as just trying to think of a new, unique way to do a knit along.
I love really seeing people try new things and the support that everybody gives on Zoom. And it's really cool. how we all sort of have encouraged each other. I just really enjoy that. And I've had so much inspiration from everyone, like ideas I wouldn't have thought of for my knitting in a way that was different than Ravelry. So I've enjoyed that a lot.
Oh, it's definitely more fun to talk in person with each other.
I also appreciate the combination of chatting, feeling like I have new friends, and learning new things, because almost every time I learn something new, even if we're just talking about what we've been working on, new things come up, and that's really fun for me.
Yeah, and new approaches to problem solving, you know, things that you think you know and but are struggle, and then someone says something, it's like, oh my God, that's such a simple fix. Which, by the way, speaking of simple fixes, one thing to consider when you're knitting your stripes is to weigh your yarn before and after, so that you know how much yarn you used in a particular stripe for like a particular number of rows. And that way, when you're playing yarn chicken later, you have a little edge on the chicken, so that, you know, you can kind of plan ahead. Oh, I can do this stripe probably. I can probably even eke out 12 rows in this pattern if I want, and not just 8. So
Yeah, when I got to the part where I was about to be doing the top hem, and I was starting to get apprehensive about the yarn quantity, I looked on Ravelry, and somebody mentioned that they had done the first hem and it used less than 15 grams. So I measured, I weighed what I had left, and I was trying to figure out, it wasn't as much as 15 grams, but it was, you know, it was getting up there. So anyway, it's fascinating. I think I should weigh my yarn at the beginning of every something or other to see where I am.
Weighing the yarn is something that I did when I was waiting for the first clue to come out. I was like, I'm excited about this yarn, so I'm going to do one more thing with it. I might as well weigh it.
Well, I weighed my yarn and then promptly lost a tiny little piece of paper that had the information. So I need a better system.
How much did the Kent weigh? Because I'm going to do that with my other skeins.
it should be around 57 grams.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a good idea. And that's going to be something I start doing with more frequency now that I'm knitting more intelligently. Or so I think.
So Leslie, did you take it out of the packaging? So have you like looked at all the colors? Okay, so that's funny because I have not. Like I'm holding off. Like, so that's funny.
I was thinking about that, but then I knew like I live in kind of a small house, so it's kind of a to-do to get my Swift and winder out. So I just wanted to do all of them at once.
Makes sense.
And we'll be providing a PDF download at the end with all the labels on it, so that if you have leftovers or you want to just make notes or something, you'll have it.
Yeah, I opened the first one as I was on another knitting group, and they're all like, "What is it? What is it? What type?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It's not labeled."
When we said mystery wool along, we meant it.
Yeah.
Anne is an excellent secret keeper, I can tell you so far.
And your sense of community is very unique. Your sense of not making an enormous profit. I have been involved with other knitters and quilters, etc., and no one matches you in having a 6-week program for $4 for 4 hours a week. When you discount the free pattern and everything, it is phenomenal. And the amount of charity you do is just meets my soul. And I think every group is attracted to something in the leader and the members, and it's always unique. And when I was working as a professor in nursing, every hospital I went to had a different personality, and I had to teach the etiquette of that personality to the students. And the same is true on the Zoom group. Your group is very humane and welcoming. So
I
thank
agree.
you.
Everyone is so respectful, and at the same time, you know, we like to have fun and joke around and everything, but yeah. Well, many of us have been around long enough to have seen all that in other places and decide that we don't want that.
And have you told Ramona about what's going on with the wool along?
Oh yeah, I have. We have to get together with her and do some. She has a new batch of puppies over there, so that are like, I think right now they're 3 weeks old or something. So I want to go over there and videotape them and talk
Ramona
to.
runs the rescue that the wool along is benefiting.
Yeah, she basically is JJ Rough Roads. It's a mostly one woman operation with maybe 5 or 6 of us that volunteer a lot, helping with the rescues. She's really phenomenal and really, really good at what she does. But it's always a challenge. There's always a lot of vetting and food to buy. Like one of her current things is trying to get the dogs all of them on better food. And so this fundraiser could cover her food costs for a good part of the year, which would be great. Just one thing like that not to worry about is wonderful. What I was hoping to do too over there is maybe do a series of videos of adoptable dogs that she's got to feature each week,
Oh, please don't. We're all gonna want them.
Also, we're far away. Most of us.
I can drive.
I know you're not that far. Yeah.
I know, not that far.
Yeah. She like these puppies, they're just at that perfect squishy piggy stage when they're starting to get fat, starting to get up on their feet, and they're just so cute. And these are all the last batch of puppies were mostly black and white, and these are all different shades of brown. Like they're the perfect bare naked wolves puppies. Not that we're in the market for one or anything.
Is this sort of like buying a painting to match your couch? You like a puppy to match your wool?
No, and much as I love everything she does, I would never. We can't get a pit bull for our home. They're too big and frisky for with David's mom and everything around. We don't want ever for any of the animals to jeopardize anybody else here. So, not to mention Queen Riley. But because they can be really they can jump on you in a really strong, heavy way.
They're
Even when-
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're really solid.
I zoned out. Were we talking about pitties?
Puppies, yes.
Oh, puppies. What kind of puppies?
Well, this knit along, from this knit along, we're doing fundraising for dog rescue.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I was talking a little bit about the rescue and the fact that she has a family of puppies currently in residence it's 11 puppies and the mom. So it's a big batch of puppies. Pitbull puppies, pitbull mix.
I have a pitbull actually.
Well,
Yeah.
and the woman who runs the this rescue,
Aw,
I mean, it's so much of it is her out of pocket, and she's
Yeah.
not of means at all. And
Yeah.
so this is going to make a huge difference in the work she can do. It's really
Yeah. And she does her own fundraising on Facebook, but oftentimes that's like stopgap fundraising. Like, I have this dog that needs a new hip or whatever. So I need to raise this much money, and it's just nice if we can meet our goal. It would be a great cushion for her to have, or to be able to create, like I said, a food fund that's dedicated to something like that, where she doesn't have to worry about the cost of better food. Because one thing we've noticed, it kind of took her a while to come around to it, but we feed our dogs, our holistic vet always recommended the Honest Kitchen food, and then I cook their meats to go in the food. And this started like back when we had Cardigan about a year when we started doing this. And after starting feeding this food, I mean, the neighbors would be like, what's going on with her? Like, she has all of a sudden improved so much, like in terms of her friendliness and her sociability and everything. And we just started noticing that people were commenting on it a lot, and her health is always good. Like, she just doesn't get sick or anything. So when Ramona started, we kennel our dogs with Ramona when we go away. And when she started having them actually at her house for periods of time, she was like, wow, your dogs are so calm, just, they have so many good behavior traits, and they're not irritable or jumpy, or plus they look so beautiful. Their coats are in good shape. And she finally decided to try the food that we use with her dogs. And it was like night and day difference with some of her dogs in terms of the behavior of the rescues. A lot of the rescues are really irritable or scared, or for a lot of reasons, they can be very touchy. And a lot of that can be from a lack of good nutrition. So better food really helps them become dogs that are much more adoptable, and also able to and not getting sick as much, not getting UTIs and all those little kennel cough and all that kind of stuff that dogs can get when they're in rescue, that make it harder and harder for them to be adopted. Excuse me. It's just funny how with dogs, it's so obvious, even more than people, that when they're eating well, their temperament changes so much.
Does she use the flea and heartworm medication?
She uses, let me think now. So when she takes a dog in and gets them vetted, they do get they get, a lot of times she gives them a flea bath. So she'll use like a flea bath. I don't think she does flea and, she doesn't do flea and tick medication, but she does give them heartworm medication because that's, you know, just something you want to be able to knock off if they're able to. You know, if a dog has heartworm, they can't start the medication until they get rid of that. So I would say 2 or 3 out of 10 dogs have to be treated for heartworm before they can even get to that stage. So. Like Erin, I took her to the vet last week and she tested positive for Lyme. Thankfully, not heartworm. But once they've been out running around the wild for several months, you have to assume they're going to have something wrong.
That heartworm treatment is kind of extensive, isn't it? It's not a.
No, it's actually pretty cheap. It's about $20 a month, maybe.
You know, I had the idea it was expensive.
Oh,
No.
the heart. Oh, yeah. If they have heartworm, yes, to get rid of heartworm. Yeah, it can be over $500 depending on the size of the dog.
Yeah, it just goes on forever, does it?
It's a while.
Yeah.
There's like a pre-treatment stage, then they get their medications, and that's, I don't know, you did it, Jean, right? The heartworm.
Yep. Yeah, and it was 3 sessions. And well, I live in Chicago, so it's going to be more expensive, but it was almost $3,000.
Oh,
but I have
wow.
a Great Dane as well, so that's the most amount of drugs you're going to use. Yeah. Because and your dogs are smaller, so that would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
You know.
and even the pit bulls in rescue, she rarely has a dog that's 100 pounds. I mean, most of them are 50 to 60 pounds.
Yeah.
But, and for dogs like that, I think, and because she's a rescue, she can also work with the dog warden medical department on, so lots of times when she rescues a dog, she can do the 3-day or 7-day hold of the dog in her rescue, but the warden will take responsibility for treating it its initial, visit, which means that she still has to pay for it, but it's a reduced rate for the rescue. So, and for heartworm, they work it out. There's a couple charities in town that support that too.
Heartworm preventative is relatively cheap, so.
Yeah, the preventative is cheap. It's when
if they're out in the wild, you can't do much about that. But if they're in your home, it's pretty cheap to prevent heartworms.
Exactly. But that's the problem. A lot of stray dogs, for instance, we just adopted one that was outside for 9 months. So we're lucky that we got away with just her having Lyme. Because she was out all summer last summer. She could easily have gotten something else.
Yeah, Toby was outside for a whole summer on a tether before we adopted him. We adopted him around Labor Day a few years ago. And thankfully he didn't have any heartworms or anything. And we were living in Michigan at the time, and ticks exist there, but they're not as common if you're not like backwoods. So he didn't have any of that, thankfully. But once we got him, we put him on preventatives.
Ticks have gotten really bad here.
They're really bad in Pennsylvania. Well, I grew up in Minnesota, and they always told us about ticks. And then we lived in Michigan for a while. I never saw a tick until we moved to Pennsylvania.
See, that problem was starting in New York when I still lived in New York. So it was already a pretty big problem there. And then it just has been moving westward from there ever since. And when we first moved to Ohio, it wasn't that big of a deal, but we do have a lot of trees here. There's a lot of tall grasses and open land, and deer are rampant here. We're way overpopulated with those. So they're coming into all the residential areas from the woods and stuff. So.
Yeah, we find a lot of ticks on him. So he has a Lyme vaccine, he's on tick preventative, he's on frontline. We do everything possible to prevent that. So, it's a lot of ticks.
Yeah.
They're gross.
Well, I have to go, so I'm gonna sign off, you guys.
Yep, it's time to end for today, but I'll see everybody Wednesday. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.